Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? Whether you're upsizing or downsizing, the Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegrand, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. The Grand Group with Edina Realty, 7-time Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine Super Agent Award winners. On this episode, David and Hoges recap the Twins' 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me today in studio, special treat, Andrew Hoges, Hoganson. Dan Thompson is off for his real job covering a football game in Nevada. And from what I understand, Hoges, placing bets on this Minnesota Twins team that odds just continue to drop to make the postseason.
Right? I think his reverse jinx is where we need to go because he reverse jinxed the Tigers, so he needs to reverse jinx the Twins now. So I think he actually needs to put some money on the Tigers to win the World Series. And then we'll start getting better things happening for this team.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
He could be the guy. He could be the reason, Hoges.
I mean, I'd try anything at this point in time, right? Like, it's just, I'm speechless, which doesn't happen to me very often, but I don't know how to feel right now.
It's been rough as a Twins fan. However, Hoges, I will say, as a season ticket holder, I got to attend the Twins season ticket holder on-field party, which was actually pretty cool. We got to play catch on the field and warm up in the bullpen, and they had TC Bear had this like train, like an electric train that went all the way around the stadium, which was pretty cool. Got to bring my kiddo. She was playing catch on the field, and she was just loving it. So here's what I'll say, Hoges. I was standing where Buxton would normally set up for like a traditional setup. I don't know that I would catch a single ball, Hoges, out there. I don't think there would be one that I would have a shot at.
It'd be interesting to see if you did better than Manny Margot out there. But I think maybe that's the point here. You've probably spent more time out there than Manny Margot has this year out in center field.
I mean, I guess if that's the comparison, yeah, maybe I could snag a couple of balls here. But one other note, Hoges, I wasn't able to watch the game today, the second game. I listened to the whole thing on the radio. I was at the park with my kiddos, and we're at the park, and I'm listening to the game, and I look over, Hoges, and over on the baseball field, there's a full-on cricket match happening. They have all of these, like, you know those flags that they use to, like, mark your yard if there's, like, gas lines and you're trying to dig?
Yep.
They had about 1,000 of those making a giant cricket outline, and the guys had bats. They all had their jerseys on and everything, and I was so fascinated. I'm talking to them. I'm like, do you guys, like, is there a league or something? They're like, no, we just see how many guys we can get, and we throw on shirts, and we go out and play.
I think that's a sign to you right now, is that you need to just leave this Twins team alone, and you need to become a cricket fan. I don't know what you're going to become a fan of, but apparently it's the guys in the park that you're going to be rooting for from now on.
It was fun to watch, and it was pretty interesting to watch those guys catch that ball barehanded, out of the air. It was fun because a lot of the guys had Twins gear on, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I'm listening to the Twins game on the radio. It's a pretty important game, and these guys are all out there playing cricket. And I'm thinking, you know what, Hoges, that's how I should be living my life. I shouldn't live and die based upon how the Twins perform. I should be playing cricket in the park.
Hey, well, today was a pretty good day, though. I mean, right? Like, all things considered, Minnesota teams did great. They're 3-0 now. The Packers looked awesome against the Titans. Malik Willis is apparently our 4th Hall of Fame quarterback that we're going to have walking through this team. Like, should we just make this a football podcast? Sunday's a big game coming up. Sunday's a big game.
I realize, Hoges, that no one's going to listen to this episode because no one wants to relive these games, but you shouldn't go out of your way to remind people that you're a Packer fan.
They're already max mad anyways right now. What am I going to do to tip it over the edge?
That is the truth. Well, with that, Hoges, let's go ahead and jump into the series recap.
Series recap.
Game 1, Hoges, the only game that you would rewatch if you had to rewatch one of these, and even this one, you'd probably put it like 1.5 speed.
I was going to say, I don't know how enjoyable that would be. This game just felt like it was slipping the entire game. It was just like, oh no. And then extra innings has ruined me because I think you need to score every single inning. And this game, clearly, that is not what happened. But the Twins bullpen, I mean, what can we say about that?
I can't believe it, Hoges. So this game was all about pitching doing its very best to pick up a flailing offense. The Twins come away with this one in 12 innings. They win it 4-2. David Festa goes 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 6 Ks, 103 pitches, Hogs, which is the most he's thrown by about 60 pitches, I think. But Rocco knew he had to keep him out on the mound because everybody who was left in the bullpen who ended up having to pitch anyway was tired and they needed an extra break, Hogs.
Well, and he only threw 5 innings, too. Like, he threw 103 pitches, but he only threw 5 innings. And then after him, it was Thielbar, Tonkin, Sands, Duran, Enriquez, Varland, Blewett, and Jax. Not a single earned run between any of those guys.
Pretty impressive. 5 hits, 4 walks, and 14 strikeouts for your bullpen, Hope.
Just unbelievable. Which, I mean, it was a weird game to watch because, like you've said a million times, if you thought the Twins were going to win this game, I got a multi-level marketing scheme that I'm going to sell you. But they did. They did it. And I don't know. Did you start believing a little bit? Like,
no. Never believed, Hogs. Never believed once. But top of the third, Vasquez singles. Buxton hits a deep ball to left field, and Jarren Duran catches the ball, but his hand smashes into the open camera well. He stays in the game, but it looks like he really sort of jacked up his hand hitting the camera.
He doesn't have those adamantium bones. Like, you need that.
We're about to begin bonding adamantium to weapon exoskeleton.
But the Red Sox actually get on the board first in this one. Tyler O'Neill walks, and then Weiler Abreu, who, it took me so many times, Hogs, to understand which Abreu this was. But he singles, then Trevor Story with an RBI single. Red Sox are up 1-0. Top of the 7th, though, Twins play some small ball to get their run. Buxton singles, steals second. Larnach doubles. Correa grounds out to third, but Buxton scores. Tie game 1-1. Then bottom of the 8th, Hogs, let me tell you, looks like the Twins are in prime position to lose this game. The way things have gone, you just assume they've lost this game at this point. But Duran's on the mound, 2 quick outs, then Connor Wong singles, Trevor Story doubles, and then Masataka Yoshida is hit by pitch. Bases are loaded with 2 outs. Rafaela, thank goodness, lines out to Willie Castro. I thought it was going to make it through the infield and we were going to be in trouble, but thank goodness the Twins get out of this one. Bottom of the 9th, though, Hogs. Varland enters with 2 outs, 1 on, and he strikes out Abreu, thank goodness, and he is pumped up. We're headed to extras. And again, nobody at this point in Twins territory is thinking they're going to win this game. There's no way the Twins are going to win this game, but the game continues and the Twins keep progressing.
Yeah, the 10th, the Twins just continue doing what they always do in these extra inning games where they can't score. Larnach smokes a ball, but just can't get it through. It's so frustrating. Like, I can't get over watching these games because you feel like you squeak out of something and then you're like, okay, now we have to score. And who's left? Like that at this point in time, like after Larnach got out there, you just start thinking, like, who's left in this bullpen? Like, what are we going to do? You know Jax is coming in if they can ever somehow get a lead, but they're not going to put him in before that. So it was nerve-wracking.
It was rough. So bottom of the 10th, Varland stays in. Abreu starts at second. A sac bunt by Connor Wong. So Abreu gets to third. So you got runners on third with 1 out. Trevor Story is intentionally walked. Then Gonzalez hits a ball back to Varland. Varland throws home, and they get Abreu at home, so there's 2 outs. And then Varland strikes out Rafaela, and he's absolutely pumped. Hogs, the loudest, I think. Well, now that I think about that, when he gave up that home run in his last start, he was probably a bit louder, but this is definitely second.
It was fun to see him that pumped up too. Like, it was a cool moment. It legitimately was. So we have a bit of a little inside the podcast information here. We have a little bit of a running joke on our thread that whenever Louis Varland does something, we just text Louis Varland because David inevitably gets mad at Dan and I because he has to watch a game 7 days after it actually happens. So if you're texting about it in real time, he just gets frustrated. So now we can't give any hints. And what would you say, David? 99.9% of the time when you see the Louis Varland text, it just means bad things have happened. And so this one was...
I assumed he gave up 12 earned runs or something in 2 innings.
This was finally a positive one. Dan texted it right away, and it put a big smile on my face.
But so top of the 12th, Twins finally break through. Farmer's on second. Buxton singles. Larnach singles. Correa walks. Then Wallner with a big single. Castro sack fly. Twins are up 4-1. Bottom of the 12th, Jax finishes out the games. The Red Sox scratch 1 across, but it does not matter. And again, if you tell me at any point you thought the Twins were going to win this game, you're a liar, Hoax. That's what I have to say about that.
Not even at 4-1. Like, honestly, at 4-1, it was like, well, of course they scored 3 runs here, but it's not going to matter because the Red Sox are going to score 4 and it's going to be over.
So at the end of this game, Hoax, if you were watching on the telecast, Corey Provis called this the best win of the year. And I'm not exactly sure what he he means by that. Like, yes, they won, and yes, it was in extras, but like at this point, isn't any win the best win of the season?
Oh yeah, they could be playing the White Sox right now and win 1-0 and give up, like, have 37 men left on base, and I'd call it the best win of the year. It's kind of like, you know how some people have like the worst loss of the year, and we've had about 37 of those in our last 40 games. Any win will push you over that threshold for the wins.
Let's move on to the terrible.
Do we have to?
Let's just cruise through these. We do. We got to relive them. It's part of the job, Hogs. Game 2, Twins lose this one 8-1. Castro, however, fun little record here. He's the first player to play 5 positions 25 times each in an MLB season. Pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely about the 4th or 5th most valuable player on this team, right before Nick Gordon?
Nick Gordon. Oh, man, there's a name you haven't heard in a while. But anyway, this one's frustrating because you win game 1 in very dramatic fashion, and you know going into game 2, you're going to have Pablo Lopez on the mound. And so in your head, as a Twins fan, are you not thinking, we won Festa's start. That was definitely not a guaranteed win. Lopez has to perform here because we really need to get game 2 because nobody knows what's going to happen in game 3 with Zebby Matthews. And so I went into this game thinking the Twins definitely have a shot to win the series here.
Yeah, that was the one that we had to have. That was the one that you thought that we would have, and then you start thinking like how much had gone right for the Twins with the other wild card teams so far too. Yeah, that was the guaranteed one that we thought we'd have, and I'm overthinking this for sure, but I wonder if missing that start on Saturday ended up impacting Pablo a little bit.
He does seem like a routine heavy guy.
See my face, see my face.
Maybe it was too cold. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Not enough sweat out there on the mound. He couldn't get the sweat that he needed to get the grip on the ball, I don't think.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
He's got to wear like a puffer coat, I think, now underneath his jersey when it starts getting into October, just because like we got to have that man sweaty.
'Cause my chest is cold and my arms aren't.
Anyway, top of the first. This is the most exciting part of the game, Hogs, if you're a Twins fan, because I promise it doesn't get any better than this. Buxton singles. Larnach grounds out, so Buxton's to second. They try and get Buxton coming off of second base, and an interference is called on Grissom because he like drops to a knee to block the bag, and Buxton, actually, it's funny, you see from the behind angle, Buxton cleat like rips his pants down a little bit because like he's so far in the way of the base, and so they call Buxton safe at second, but Rocco comes out and he says, hey, that's interference. The umpires agree, so they send Buxton to third. Alex Cora comes screaming out of the dugout, and he gets tossed, and this was probably the most aggressive I've seen a guy as far as physical touch with an umpire is concerned. Because, like, it was the crew chief blocking the second base umpire from Cora, and Cora was just, like, kept encroaching on him and kept pushing him, and I was like, what is happening here? But he gets tossed. I don't exactly understand what Cora's point is here. It's clear they could use this in the film room to explain what blocking is.
I think he's mad about the stupidity of the rule. You know, like, it's dumb because he's diving back to second and you get third. I totally understand that like how it works and that Buxton should be awarded third, but it is kind of a weird rule because you're not trying to advance to third in that situation. It's just that's how it works. So I feel like his whole complaint was he would just, you know what, this is a stupid baseball rule. We need to change this rule. You guys have nothing to do with it, but I'm going to yell anyway.
Well, I mean, and he was the guy, Hogs, who showed me that this Red Sox team cared way more about this game than the Twins did. And honestly, if you walked away after watching these games today and you thought that after watching the way these teams played, the Twins were the ones who were out of it, no. The Red Sox are now only 4 games back, though. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. This could get even worse than it is right now, Hogs, which is sort of the sad thing to think about. Anyway, none of this matters in the long run because the Twins squander the chance. Correa walks, Wallner strikes out, Lewis walks, and then Castro pops out. And then the day just gets bad, Hogs. We don't need to talk about this in depth. Bottom of the first, Gonzalez singles, Yoshida singles, and then your guy, Tristan Casas, first 3-run home run of the day. Red Sox are up 3-0. Bottom of the third, Yoshida singles, Trevor Story singles, and then Casas his second 3-run homer of the day. Red Sox are up 6-0. Top of the fourth, Twins get a run thanks to the mercy of the Red Sox committing an error. But again, doesn't matter. They're going to lose this game anyway. Casas adds another home run later because why not? I mean, I guess he's like, if Ohtani can do it, I can do it. Who knows? But so Red Sox add on in the fourth and the fifth, and honestly, this game's just terrible. Let's just keep pushing. Game 3. Twins lose this one 9-3. I'm just going to read you the pitching lines here quick, Hogs. Zebby Matthews, 4 2/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Cole Irvin. I got a text from a buddy who said, Irvin who? Question mark. He goes 2/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 homer. Then Cole Sands comes in, a third of an inning pitched, 2 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned. Tonkin enters, an inning and a third, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 strikeout. Not great, Hogs, from the pitching side of the ball here.
No, absolutely not. But when you read Matthews' line, you get excited, and we'll talk about that a lot later. You're like, that's a good start. And if I told you that they lost 9-3 after that, it would kill you. But I mean, then the top of the 5th, Farmer gets a single, Vasquez gets a single, Buxton gets an RBI single. The Twins go up 1-0. You start kind of believing, like, hey, they take 2 out of 3. If they were to win this game, we would have been in a 3-way tie for the 2 remaining wild card positions. The Twins have the tiebreaker over both the Royals and the Tigers. You just start, okay, they had a tough beginning of the doubleheader, and it was so amazing how quickly those good feelings evaporated.
So the Twins end the top of the 5th with a 2-0 lead, and that's honestly the end of the fun for the Twins, because the bottom of the 5th, Rocco pulls Zebby with 2 outs and a runner on second. Duran walks, Gonzalez hits a 3-run homer, and the Red Sox are up 3-2. Bottom of the 6th, Red Sox continue to pile on, scoring 6 runs in just a variety of ways, Hogs. We don't need to get into the thick of it. Just know they scored 6 runs, and the Red Sox come away with this one 9-3, and I think everybody, Hogs, is just upset now and sad.
That walk by Cole Irvin was just so ridiculous, because you come in, you need to get 1 out, you're in to face the lefty, and you walk him. And that's when it all started. A 3-run homer on the next batter, and there you go. I know when you lose 9-3, it's hard to just pinpoint one moment, but that was brutal. That was just the start of so many horrible things.
It was a very rough go. Well, with that, Hogs, let's stop talking about these games in particular, and let's head into our segments.
Catch 'em all, Kirby Puckett!
Puckett's Picks winner.
This is a sad one here, Hogs. Dan takes it with Castro with 6 points. The listeners took Correa, who had 5. I took Buxton, who had 3. You took Lewis, who had 2. That puts our season standings then at me with 23.5. Hogs, you're at 17.5. And now Dan, unfortunately, with a big lead over the listeners, 12.5 to the listeners' 10. I really want Dan to come in last here, Hogs, and it's just the listeners have to get it together.
Well, they can still do it, right? So we have 2 series left, so they would need to get both the series wins and one of the bonus points to tie him. So there's still time.
I suppose. Let's hope so. Let's keep pushing here. Beast versus Bench.
Beast versus Bench.
Is losing fun? Is losing fun?
I think it's very difficult to choose a beast.
It's horrible.
I think we have a little bit of overlap here. I'm going to go with the bullpen in game 1, just because, again, you had all of those guys pitch and not allow an earned run. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys pitch out of the bullpen. No earned runs allowed, Hogs. No way you can choose someone based on their performance in game 2
That's the problem. That's the problem, because I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to be like, oh yeah, the bullpen, that game 1 thing was a masterpiece. But game 2 and game 3 happened, so we got a problem there. I went with one specific member of that bullpen. I just figured we've pounded on Louis Varland so much this year. He pitched great getting out of that inning and then coming in for another full inning. Everyone expected him to lose. If I had any ability to gamble on the Twins losing that game, I would have put my house on there. So it's a good thing I don't live in any states where gambling is legal. But he pulled it off. I was pumped. They won the game. I'm giving it to Louis Varland. It was fun to see that. And you can't, like you said, you can't give it to anyone else in the bullpen because they all had horrible showings later.
Exactly. Who do you have on your bench, Hogs?
I went with Tristan Casas because I really wish he was on the bench in game 2. I mean, just ridiculous. Going 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats, 7 RBI. I mean, you made the joke that I wanted to make. He saw Ohtani do it, and he was like, I got to try doing this stuff too. It's not often when you lose 8-1 and one guy single-handedly beats you, but he did single-handedly beat us.
Oh, that's a rough go. I'm going to go with the offense in all 3 games. I truly don't know who to pick, because a lot of times I like to go back and look at like the left on base and like who came up in big spots. There were no big spots to come up in.
True.
Hogs. That was it. I mean, there was just no chance. 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position in game 2 and 3 for 5 with runners in scoring position in game 3. But those don't really count because they all came like after the Red Sox were up big. So like it doesn't really matter. That's not true. The 2 runs they got in the 5th, I suppose.
They mattered so much to my heart.
Moments, but I guess maybe Larnach you could pretend, but he didn't have a great showing. Like the offense needs to do something. But with that, Hogs, let's just keep pushing here. Rocco's Rewind.
Rocco's Rewind.
Hogs, I'm asking the question that everybody's asking. How do you not let Zebby pitch? Let him out there. Let him stay. What's the difference between him and Festa at this point? Like, you let Festa throw until his arm couldn't throw any longer. Why not leave Zebby out there?
And at 87 pitches, too, like, is Cole Irvin really the other guy that you want up in that situation? Like, he walks the one guy he's supposed to pitch to. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I have no answers, though. I just don't.
Well, and then my other question is, why is Alex Cora, Rocco, more upset than you are about his baseball team having a slight committed against them? Like, Rocco, you should be furious all the time. And I'll say this. In game one, the camera spent a lot of time on Rocco Baldelli. And I will say this. He does look annoyed a little bit, which is kind of nice. It's just nice to not see just laid back Rocco, not a care in the world, always just sitting there chewing his bubble gum, pretending like nothing really matters and answering questions like, well, I never really thought about it. That's your job. It's your one job, is to sit there and think about things. But so why is Alex Cora so much more engaged in this, Rocco, than you are, or at least seemingly? Like, I realize it's just appearances, right? But I still want you to appear like you care, Rocco.
Well, I know today you were blissfully watching cricket while listening to the game on the radio, but it looked like, and again, we're basing this based off of Rocco, right? So, like, it's kind of like when Dan gets mad, a leaf is falling down on a tree, whereas if you or I is getting mad, a redwood is falling over. So, again, in comparison, but he had...
Ogres are like onions.
He had smoke coming out of his ears today in the fifth and the sixth innings. He looked so upset, and all I could think about watching the end of that game today was, what is that clubhouse and that plane ride going to be back? Oh. And then they have an off day tomorrow too. So, I mean... But
then you see the Marlins, and if
right?
you can't right the ship against the Marlins, come on now.
But the Royals stink. Like, that's what... I mean, we'll get into this more. They've lost 7 games in a row. Like, no one wants this. It's still there. And they're playing the Marlins and the Orioles, who probably won't care that much anymore. So it's just... I don't know, David. I don't know.
What do you have for Rocco? Is that what you... Sorry, was that what you had for Rocco?
No, my for Rocco is, does it matter? Does any of this matter? Well, any of his decisions? You guys talked about it a lot in the last episode, where we're not really blaming him so much. I think he's definitely made mistakes. I think the Zebby one was a mistake. But eventually you have to go to one of those guys in the bullpen who is butt. And I don't know what you do. Like, there's just no other options.
I suppose. I love you cutting Rocco some slack, Hoax.
Well, I do have one thing that I need to yell at because it's lost in all of this. Manny Margot is now 0 for 30 in pitch hitting situations, and he still continues to trot him out there. So I don't know how you're going to possibly defend him in that situation, but 0 for 30, set the MLB record. Also, if you get a chance, someone put him striking out in his 30th at bat to the Moneyball music, and it's hilarious.
You know what they say? Fool me once, strike one. But fool me twice, strike 3.
Every single time
I don't understand
that I see Margot coming up for a pinch hit, this is what goes through my mind.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
It does not pay off for you, ever, Rocco. It never pays off.
He's hitting a home run in the bottom of the 9th in Game 7 of the World Series, a pinch hit home run to snap the 0 for 40 streak. That's what's going to happen.
Now, if you're interested, Hoax, would you like to place a bet as far as that happening?
No.
Because maybe I could get another ticket for a friend to go to Essen with me. But let's keep going here, Minnesota moment.
Minnesota moment.
Well, I have to say, Hoax, in Game 1, Varland and Wallner combining for the Minnesota win is pretty fun.
No.
You don't.
No.
What?
How are you picking a positive moment? This is not a podcast for happiness right now. Just no. I don't even want to hear it. I don't. Have you no joy in your life? Is there no song in your heart?
We got to have some uplifting. We have to have some uplifting moments here, Hoax, and these were uplifting moments that I'm selecting.
That was so long ago, though. I was young and I was innocent.
And now you're an old man.
I'm an old man.
What do you have here for your Minnesota moment then, Mr. Positivity?
I kind of already got to it, but I went with the bottom of 5, Game 3. Just giving up that 3-run homer after walking Durant was just brutal. And like whenever I'm doing the podcast, I try to talk myself into things while I'm watching the last game. It's definitely recency bias, but when the Twins scored 2 runs in the top of the 5th, I was like, okay, here we go. This team has shown some grit. They had a rough Game 1. They're coming back. They snuck that game out on Friday. They got beaten down, but they're going to come back in Game 3. They're going to win it. They're going to be tied with the Tigers and the Royals. And that lasted 5 minutes. And then I had nothing after that. I had nothing I wanted to talk to you about. I thought about faking food poisoning. I mean, it's ridiculous.
All right, well, with that here, let's go into Maurer's musings. I'm sure we have a few questions.
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Maurer's musings.
Hogs, if this team doesn't make the postseason, where does this rank for you as far as like terribleness or sadness? I didn't know what word to use here because it's like just in your Minnesota Twins history, how high would this rank as far as like disappointment's concerned?
Well, we've kind of talked about this a lot in previous years, and it's all about like the expectations you have going in and where you've been during the year. So I think even with my incredible susceptibleness to recency bias, I think this one is pretty near the top because, I mean, talking about this team through most of the year, we didn't ever think that they were going to miss the playoffs. Like it was just what can they do there? Maybe they don't have that strong of a team when they get there, but we always thought that they were going to somehow pick up one of these wild cards. And when you look at it, the Tigers were they 9.5 games back of the Twins, and now they're ahead. I mean, so all of that has happened so fast. I don't know if the expectations for how far this team could go were as high as they were, and maybe like after the Bomba Squad year when they just kind of fell apart. But I think it's up there for sure in our lifetime.
Would you fire Rocco at the end of the season?
The only reason I can think of doing that is just to shake things up. Like maybe the voice has gotten a little dull. I happen to think that doesn't really do anything. It maybe gets you like 3 wins and then that's it. So no, I wouldn't fire
Folks,
him.
Careful with that. 3 wins.
That probably gets you in the playoffs
here right now.
I think it's far too late. I don't want to do it in the offseason. I think if they were going to do it, they needed to do it like a month ago. And again, I wouldn't have done that anyways. I totally disagree with that. I think he's the right man for the job. The question, and how you guys brought it up too, is who do you want? Like, is there some guy that's going to change this? Like, I don't even think that this is a lack of effort thing. It's not to beat the dead horse, but it's on ownership. And even like, I think you gave Falvey and Levine, which I did appreciate is Levine even there anymore because we haven't heard from him at all. But I think you're giving them a little bit too much of an out. Yes, they got $35 million scrapped from the payroll and they didn't go out and do anything, but every single move that they did make was awful. Like, look at all the Polanco trade. How many innings have that guy pitched for us? How many innings has Malley pitched for us? How many innings has Justin Topa pitched for us? How many innings has Dave Rogatini pitched for us? Like, it's unbelievable. Margot, like, I know these are bargain hunters that they're trying to do, but you can't go 0 for 15 on bargain hunters either. So yes, ownership 100% the blame, but front office is not removed from that. Baldelli's at the bottom of that list as far as I'm concerned for people who need to shoulder the blame for this team stinking.
Fans want an ejection. There it goes.
And that was Gardy's gripe.
So, Hogs,
I got carried away. I think I switched topics about 7 times in that.
You did. However, what I do appreciate, though, is neither Dan nor I took the approach that Falvey and Levine should take some blame here. We thought they did the best they could, so I appreciate the nuance you're bringing to the show, calling for heads to roll, not only in ownership, but also in the front office.
Fire them all.
What do you have here for your musing, Hogs?
All seriousness right now, is this team going to make the postseason? We're playing the Marlins, and then we're playing the Orioles. We're a game back. The Royals cannot win a baseball game. The Tigers are the Tigers. Do we make the postseason?
I would have a lot more confidence in their ability to make the postseason if I could see a reason for them to sort of have a resurgence, other than the fact that they're playing the Marlins. Nobody's coming back from the IL. This is the only guy who could come back, and I'm not convinced he'd be a big enough boon to make a difference. You need so many guys to figure it out at the plate overnight. You need Miranda to start hitting. You need Lewis to start hitting. You need anybody else in this lineup to make some contact at some point. You need Wallner to stop striking out every other at bat. There's too many things that need to be fixed too quickly and not enough available to give this team a boost for some reason. If playing for the postseason, Hogs, isn't enough to get you up and playing at your best, nothing will ever be enough in this game.
Well, and it should be noted too, like the Tigers finished the year against the White Sox. So you got to feel like those are 3 games that they're going to win. The Royals end up playing the Nationals and the Braves. And then the Tigers play the Rays before they end up playing the White Sox. So the Rays are still alive, so maybe they're playing for a little bit, but you got to think the Twins have to be ahead of the Tigers if they want to beat them going into that White Sox series at the end. And we play the Marlins and the Orioles. So ESPN right now has their playoff percent chance at 54.5%. I think that sounds about right. I think they will make it, but I'm like a 51-49 kind of a guy right now.
I don't know. My gut says no. This team just looks so bad right now and just not interested in playing. I understand that it's sort of crazy to say that, knowing that they could get the 5 seed even, like
right?
if things bounce their way.
They would if they would have won Game 3 today. They would have the 5 seed currently because they have the tiebreakers, which just is unbelievable.
I understand I'm getting a trip to Essen out of this, and I am sort of excited that there is a way, Hoges, that both the Tigers and the Twins make the postseason. I win the bet, and the Twins make the postseason, and the Royals are left out in the cold.
That would be hilarious.
Which would honestly be the best of both worlds, and Dan would be so sad. I do wonder if maybe I could give him a scapegoat, though, and like he could send me to the postseason game wherever the Twins are playing as opposed to Essen, and he would have to come with me.
I like
we could find
I
something.
like that. So here I'm gonna do a little bit of positivity right here. I disagree with you and Dan. I think this team is dangerous if they make the playoffs because you're talking about.
I had a whole bit. Did you even listen?
I did listen to it, but I sometimes I lump you two both in together. But saying that they don't have the bullpen that will get them through the postseason, I think is incorrect because you have.
Oh, okay.
Hear me out.
Hey, I don't know exactly.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
You serious?
You got Bailey Ober and Pablo Lopez, who up until
neither of which are in the bullpen.
I understand how that works, but you don't. If you get to the wild card game, Bailey Ober goes 7 innings, Pablo Lopez goes 7 innings. You have Jackson Duran each pitch 1 inning. You don't need anything more. They can win those 2 games, and now all of a sudden you're in the ALDS against the Guardians, who I'm still standing by with you that they aren't very good, and anything can happen. And then you start getting more off days when you get into those divisional rounds and LCS games. If this offense wakes up and those 2 guys pitch well, this team is dangerous in the playoffs. And Buxton and Correa are back. Correa looks good at the plate. You can't deny that. He's seeing the ball well. He looks like a broken man at shortstop. But David, I believe. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but if they do, they're going to win a series, and I think they'll go farther. I don't think there's anything that could stand between this team and the World Series.
No, I'm simply saying that life
finds a way.
There's just Hoges. Oh my goodness, that was the most unhinged.
It's not
logic puzzle fallacy that you've put together to try and put yourself in some sort of pretzel that gets you to somehow the Twins make the postseason. Not only do they make the postseason, they win a series and then continue on in the postseason. Hoges, how many years have you been a Twins fan? And you think that's what's going to happen?
Yes, I do. If they make the postseason, so 50-50 shot if they make it. If they make it, I am fully on that train again.
Okay. Well, with that here, let's go on and grade this series, which I'm assuming Hoges will give an A through some sort of weird logic.
Series grades.
I did actually think about giving them an A because I thought maybe we could do some sort of like you know how Dan would probably understand this. You know how teachers just give out grades randomly? Sometimes they don't put a lot of thought into it at all.
I would hope Dan would disagree with that sentiment, but continue.
I think sometimes they give the kids who aren't performing that well a good grade just to give them a little bit of a boost. So maybe that's what we needed to do. We need to give them an A. But no, in reality, I gave them a D-. I probably should have given them an F, but they did win a game that none of us thought that they were going to win. And it could have been worse, believe it or not.
Okay. I'm giving them an F. It was ridiculous. It was sad. You should be ashamed of yourselves as baseball players. Please play better. Sweep the Marlins, and maybe you will be forgiven. But at this point, my goodness, how sad and how embarrassing if we don't make the postseason.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's up there.
All right, let's go on to Herbie's headlines.
I don't know, Jack. It looked like Herbeck pulled him off the bag.
Herbie's headlines.
Speaking of embarrassing, the White Sox lost their 120th game of the season, which has tied the modern MLB record. So I'm assuming, unless they go 6-0, they will likely break that record.
Here's my question for you, though. Would you rather, if the Twins missed the postseason this year, would you rather have been a Twins fan this year or a White Sox fan this year?
Oh, a Twins fan. No, and I understand. Like, I get.
I don't know if I agree with that, actually.
No, don't lie.
I'm not lying.
We said this. No, I said it last episode. I said that we should at least appreciate that we're talking about a team that can still make the postseason.
Yeah, but David,
and we're not.
It's so different when you were up like 17 games above 500, and now you're like may finish I mean, they're going to have a winning record, but barely.
You're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth.
I told you, if they make the postseason, then I'm Mr. Positive. Until that happens, Mr. Negative.
Okay. Anyway, so there are some comparisons happening currently, which compares Dan's guy.
All rise for Dan's Judge Love.
With your guy, Shohei Ohtani. I don't have the sounder here, but I think what I would play is money. Some comparisons going on, and everybody seems to be so upset that people are making a big deal out of Ohtani's 50-50 season, and nobody's giving Aaron Judge the credit he deserves for what many are deeming to have a more impressive resume for this season.
Those people,
I don't really know if I have any thoughts.
Oh, I
just want to know what you have about
those
it.
people are stupid. I mean, they just are. Like, Ohtani's season this year is above and beyond anything that Judge has done. The 50-50 club has never happened before. Like, that is unbelievable. And that game, what did he go? 6 for 6 with 5 homers and 35 RBI? I mean, just unbelievable what that guy has done. I did see this on Twitter, though, and I did like this take. They said, lukewarm take, every time Ohtani goes out and hits a home run and then throws 6 innings with 0 earned runs is more impressive than what he did with that 6 for 6 game, which had never been done in baseball history before. And I agree with that. I think the whole pitching and hitting thing, we still just can't wrap our minds around. And I understand that he's not pitching this year. But did you see there are rumors that he'll be throwing in the bullpen this year if the Dodgers go deep into the playoffs?
Okay. I just, okay, 50, it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing.
It's amazing.
But like, yes, it's amazing. But I think that
are you gonna? Is it because of the bigger bases, David? Is that the only reason you got the 50 stolen bases?
No, but I just think that you're sort of undervaluing Judge's contributions.
I don't think that that's the case. So I shouldn't have said it as harshly as I did. Judge has had an amazing year, but it pales in comparison to Ohtani's year, because Ohtani's year is like generational. Judge's is very good. They're just two completely different scales.
But I mean, almost every advanced metric tells you that you'd rather have Aaron Judge.
No.
Great defense, Hogs. We should get you on a debate stage ASAP with the MLB talking heads. No.
Is that not how you debate?
No, I like to spout out random non sequiturs, hoping people forgot what the original topic was.
I think we need to go back to what Dan did when he was doing 2 true stats and 1 false stat every single time we go on this podcast, because that was a very enjoyable listen.
Well, while we're talking about comparisons, how would you compare Ohtani's 50-50 with Acuna Jr.'s 70-40 season last season?
I think they're pretty similar. Like, I think, I mean, maybe I almost go with Acuna Jr.'s being even more impressive. I mean, 70 stolen bases is a lot. But the Ohtani thing is so fascinating because he's a bigger guy. Like, I know he's quick, but I think his baseball acumen is something that doesn't get talked about enough. Like, just how well he understands the game, and that's why he can steal so many bases in that situation. It's cool that we finally get to see him in the playoffs. I hate that it's for the Dodgers, and every time I think that, I think of Dan talking about how, we might get to see a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. Won't everyone love that? No, I would not.
I honestly, we need to get some sounder for you, because your love for Ohtani, I used to think that Dan's Judge love was a little bit out of hand, but Hogs, true or false, you have Ohtani pictures posted all over your home.
I don't root for him either, but he is the best baseball player ever. And I don't know if you can argue that.
I can, but we don't have the time, Hogs. Let's continue here on to Puckett's picks for the upcoming Marlins series, which is a vital series, believe it or not, Hogs.
Can we take Luis Arise?
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Puckett's picks.
I mean, he's on the Padres, but I suppose you could take him. I don't know that that's going to score any points for you.
My brain doesn't work anymore. I'm too upset.
I'm too upset. Anyway, the listeners are going to take Correa. Then it'll go to you, Hogs.
Buxton, I guess. I mean, I think Correa obviously is the clear number 1. Buxton seems to be seeing the ball pretty well. You got to think that they're probably going to play in all 3 games, especially with having the off day on Monday. So that's where I'm going.
Fair enough. I'm going to take Larnach, and Dan's going to round us out taking Lewis. So the
Lewis,
big 3.
Lewis is such a pity pick for whoever has last. Like, it just feels like that's what it's been every single time. And I appreciated what you said, that we probably aren't getting on him enough, Mr. I don't ever slump. And now he's basically aligned his slump at the worst part in time in this season. When Buxton and Correa were out, maybe he turns it around. Maybe we get a grand slam. David, this isn't over yet.
Maybe.
Don't give me hope.
With that, Hogs, this has been a very fascinating episode that I'm sure many people will listen to. But can you, will you please go ahead and send us out? Thanks again for filling in for Dan.
All I can say is I am so glad I don't have to record after the Marlins series because I really don't see that going well.
Okay, you've been all over the place.
I don't know. Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Min for the Win and find our Mid for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform so that you're notified when new episodes are available. If you could leave us a rating or a like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon, link in the description. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Twins.
That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins.